One of the wonderful things about midwifery care is that midwives can accommodate women with different cultural, religious, or even environmental preferences.
I am a certified professional midwife and a licensed midwife, and I practice in the state of Florida, specifically in the city of Miami. The population that I work with is very diverse in terms of ages and in terms of ethnicities.
We live in West Virginia. We live in the mountains and work as midwives in the mountains of West Virginia.
I grew up in the mountains of West Virginia with women who considered home birth normal and where it should happen.
I am a VBAC mom. I am an HBAC mom. I'm a Christian woman. I am a military mom.
I live in a wonderful rural area in the western part of Massachusetts called the Pioneer Valley.
Being an activist in my community, I'm trusted. I get to work with these people who are often afraid to get care in another setting.
I've been a midwife for 28 years. I work in central Pennsylvania in a community of about 50,000.
We have such an amazing variety of people.
Being a midwife is building relationships with women, building trust with women, and helping them connect with their own knowing about birth and about giving birth.
I'm a midwife.
I'm a midwife.
I'm a midwife.
I am a midwife.
I am a midwife. I chose to move to Miami to practice for two specific reasons. One is because I wanted to become licensed and legal, and it has a long, rich history of midwifery, especially granny midwifery in Florida. And second, because I wanted a diverse population to work with. There's women from the Caribbean and women, African American, Hispanic, and white. So I really feel it's a rich variety of women. One of the things about practicing in Miami is that I can accept insurances, all insurances, and I can also accept Medicaid. That's a population of women who probably otherwise may not have been able to have access to midwifery care. So women who come to me, often they'll get my name from the Medicaid office, and they're looking for a doctor, and find out that I'm a midwife, and well, what is a midwife? And the dialogue begins. Well, it's a woman who takes care of women when they're pregnant and ready to give birth.
One of the things that I love about being a midwife is the relationships that I develop with people that I probably would never have contact with or don't feel like I would have anything in common with. Pregnancy and birth is the great equalizer. We're all women in this together. I worked with so many different kinds of women who have different belief systems, different politics, but we all have this one thing in common, and our relationship that we develop of a trusting, working relationship with lots of laughter. That's the primary ingredient. Once we start to trust each other, we start to laugh, and that makes it really fun.
So the women that are attracted to home birth practice like mine are very well educated and are very interested in personal development, personal growth, spirituality, being whole beings. And so that's probably why they choose to go as natural as possible and discover more about their power. I love facilitating that process. So I have my clients are very diverse. Many are homesteaders, or there's a large lesbian population that I get to work with. There's women professors. I have nurses and doctors who want to deliver at home. It's a total privilege. It's very exciting to have that kind of intimate connection with my clients.
I work in Phoenix, Arizona, and I work with a pretty diverse population. I have my home birth practice, which is located in a college town. But then I also work with the community. We're really active in migrant politics and social justice issues. And so I do a lot of work with students, and I do a lot of work with people who are in transition also. They're in trauma, and they're coming to my community from places where maybe they can't make a living, or maybe they're victims of violence, or maybe they're victims of poverty, whatever that might be. And as a midwife, and especially a midwife from that community, it's It's perfect because I'm trusted. And this is the one common thing that I think midwives have, is that we get to know the people we serve in a much more intimate way.
We live in an area that is very sparsely populated in a very mountainous region. The women are basically lower income, although not all of them, and it is very difficult for them to access services. There are no other maternity care providers within at least an hour, hour and a half from where I live.
I think many of the women we serve are women that fall through the cracks. They're not women that have the education level or the income level to know how to navigate the system.
And we've done studies that show that the farther they lived from the hospital, the more likely they were to be induced, the more likely they were to have C-sections. So by bringing it into the community and providing community-based care, we not only are able to provide them culturally competent care, but in a way that makes sense, it's economically feasible, and it overall is safer, with statistics that show that the midwifery community-based model works.
If you think about what we know about birth and how women need to be supported, they need to work in the context in which they see themselves. So if they see themselves and in a sense of community around strong preferences with their mothers and their elders, as we see in some indigenous cultures, we wouldn't want to take the woman out of that context and make some other person the authority, but rather we meet the woman there in that context, the place that she relates to her world from, and that we help accompany her from that place to give birth.
We take care of very religious people, Orthodox Jews, very observant Muslims, Christian evangelists, very traditional people who enjoy the privacy, the one-on-one care from a woman and the privacy of their homes and the goal of a physiologic natural vaginal birth. We also care for what you could characterize as a hippie community, Park Slope Food Co-op, vegan, social activist, in a range in ages for this community that you would think of as hippies. And then we also care for wealthy, highly educated, a lot of attorneys and bankers and women who want to be able to control their environment without having to fight the system during their birth. And then we also have a good portion of our practice are people who are eligible for Medicaid. And that's a range of people in New York City. It's fun when we do our yearly parties. It's fantastic to get everybody in the room together.
There is such a community to it that daily I run into people at Walmart and Kmart and the grocery store who say, this is so-and-so and you probably don't remember me, but you delivered this kid. Or when the new sports teams come out and I look down the roster and go, how can this kid be this old? Most of the women in the area know about midwifery care, choose midwifery care, get labored and caught by midwives.
I live in northeast Kansas and I have a solo home birth practice. I serve a wide range of population. I am a woman of faith, so I do have a tendency to draw that kind of client. But I serve people of all faith, anywhere from, I say, atheist to Amish. I had a telephone call once. The very first words out of her mouth were, will you accept an atheist as a client? I said, yes, of course, why wouldn't I? I want there to be the right midwife for every woman. I want that to be available. If it's not me, I want somebody else that woman does click with. I want that to be available for every woman because I do believe that the right midwife it should be out there. Women should have access to the kind of care provider that works for them.
I am a midwife.
I'm a midwife.
I'm a midwife.
I'm a midwife.
I am a midwife.